Welcome to lesson 137, solve verbal problems involving quadratic equations. Here's our objective, here's our vocabulary, and you saw we just used the zero product property in the last, I believe, 2 lessons. So if you did not see examples of that, please go back into the last lesson and watch how I solved quadratic equations, finding the roots. All right, so this is the point, finding the roots. All right, so basically this is the box problem. So when you get to algebra 2, sometimes in algebra 1, depending on how advanced your class is, this is called the box problem. So basically a box is made from a 12 by 18 inch sheet of cardboard. So the whole length from, let me put my pen on, from here to here is 12 inches. But then you got this length x and this other length x. So you have to minus 2x. And this is 18 from this length to this length, but then you had to subtract 2x. So here is the setup for your problem. Now, we have a limitation. We can only be dealing with 112 square feet. So why is this area cut out? Because if you've ever seen an unfolded box, like a pizza box or something like that, the flaps become your sides, and this is your 112 square feet. So these flaps become your side. This flap and this flap and this flap and this flap become your sides, and you can't use the dark shaded gray region. You can't use this. I should probably put this in red. You can't use this region because once you fold it up, it kind of disappears or it's not useful anymore. So that's how a box works, is folded up. So if you ever got any kind of box, take the time and unfold it and see the crevices and lines in it and see what's used and see what's not used. And the box problem will make sense to you. So what do we have to do? We have to take the 12 minus the 2x, multiply it by the 18 minus 2x, and then set that equal to 112 feet because that was our limitation. And so I'm going to FOIL this. I see 12 times 18 is 216. Outers minus 24x. Inners minus 36x. And the last is plus 4x squared equal to 112. I am going to combine like terms and rewrite everything in standard form. 24 and 36 makes 60 minus 60x plus 216 equals to 112. I'm going to subtract 112 from both sides. 4x minus 60x is 104 equal to 0. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is factor out a 4. If I factor out a 4, I will be left with x squared. 60 divided by 4 is 15. 104 divided by 224 is 26 equal to 0. So now I'm going to divide everything by 4. That cancels out here. On this side, 0 divided by 4 is 0. So I'm left with the quadratic x squared minus 15x plus 26 is equal to 0. So now I'm going to factor that. What are the factors of 26? 1 and 26, 2 and 13. 2 and 13 add to 15. Okay, so my factors are going to be x minus 2 and x minus 13. Set that equal to 0. Okay, I get x minus 2 equal to 0, which gives me x equals 2. And then I get x minus 13 equal to 0 equals x equals 13. Okay, so the sides of the flaps. Now, we take this number and figure out the sides of the lengths of the flap to maximize this 112. So for my size, 12 minus 2x, if I stick 2 in here, I get 12 minus 4, which makes sense. That gives me 8. So the length of the flap can be 8, I guess, feet, because we were using inches. I'm sorry, we were using inches. 12 minus 13 will make -1. Oh, it would be 2 times 13. That makes a negative number. That doesn't make much sense because you can't have a negative size flap. So I think 2 is the better number for this this problem, and so that means that each x is 2 inches. So if I'm looking at this, I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this, so that means the x is 2 inches on each side. That's the side I can't use on each sides of the box. So 18 minus 2x, 18 minus 2. So this length would be 14, and then this length would be 8. And that would give me 112 square inch area to put my box in, to put stuff into my box. And this is the purpose for solving quadratic equations in the real world, the box problem. So all of you at some point in either Algebra 1 or Algebra 2 will be solving box problems. And you may even figure out the cubic, how to break down a cubic polynomial, which we did not do, but we may do at a later point in time to solve a cube problem, a 3-dimensional box problem. Okay, so let's see. Ignore this 2. This should be t squared. All right. So this formula comes from a physics book. Whenever things are dropped using gravity, we're dealing with 16t squared. That's just a constant you get from physics. So if you're doing any kind of physics, you should see this equation. All right. So what do we have? 49. D stands for distance, and we're given 49 feet, which is a distance. So we're given 49 equals the 16t squared. And the solution of t squared will give us a time. All right, so now what is our binomial? Well, 16t squared, if we subtract 49 to move it over here, we subtract 49, we set that equal to 0. And what you should see is a difference of squares. So if we take the square root of 16t squared and the square root of 49, you will get 4t plus the square root of 49 is 7, and then you get 4t minus 7. Set that equal to 0. So now, 4t plus 7 equals 0. Subtract 7, 4t equals -7. Divide by 4. T equals -7 over 4. You cannot have negative time. So even though this root is a real root on a graph, this does not work as an answer because you can't have negative time. 4t minus 7 equals 0. Add 7 to both sides. 4t equals 7. Divide by 4. T equals 7/4, or 1 3/4. And the time is in seconds. So from 49 feet, if you drop something off of some height, let's see, we dropped it from a bridge, and it's 49 feet in the water, it will take just under 2 seconds to hit the water. So that is another use for solving quadratic equations. All right, so those were our two examples, some real life applications of quadratic equations. So try the two practice problems, and I will see you at the end of the video for a recap. Okay, so when we have problems like this, it's always best to draw a figure. So you got 50 feet of fencing, and you use the back of the garage for one side. Find the dimensions of the area if the area of the pin is 300. Okay, so let's draw a little garage. This is a top-down view. So the top of the garage is going to look like that. And this is going to be your area. This is going to be 300 square feet. All right, so you have 50 feet of fencing. 50 feet deals with a perimeter. So let's remember our perimeter formula is 2L plus 2W. Because you got an L right here, you got an L right here, you got a W. But you're going to use the back of the fence as a garage. So you don't have 2L, 2 W's, you only have 1 W. And that's your perimeter. And you're given 50. So 50 equals 2L plus W. And then that's perimeter. And so that's why you have your 50 feet. And so your 300 square feet is going to be your area. So length times width equals 300. So this is a very tricky problem, and I should have did this one as the example and left you with the example 1 as the problem. So basically we're going to solve this for W. So W equals 50 minus 2L. Then we're going to substitute in for W, so we only have one variable. So we got L times 50 minus 2L equal to 300. And so we'll pick this up on the next page. So we had L times 50 minus 2L equaling the 300. And so we get 50L minus 2L squared equals 300. We're going to move the L and the 50L over to the other side. So that'll leave 2L squared minus 50L plus 300 equal to 0. Then we're going to factor out of 2. So we're going to divide a 2 out of both sides. So that leaves with L squared minus 25L plus 150 equal to 0. So now all we have to do is factor this problem. All right, now that we have this one, so let's look at our factors of 150. We need all of the factors of 150 that add to that add to 25. And so there are many factors of 150. So let's do 10 and 15. 10 times 15 is 150, and that adds to 25. We could get others, but I don't think they add to 150. So we got L minus 10 and L minus 15 equal to 0. So L could be 10 or L could be 15. So now this only solves the length, but what about the width? The width is 50 minus 2L, and if we stick 10 in here, we get 50 minus 20, which equals 30 as the width. So our length could be 10 and the width could be 30, or if I stick width equals 50 minus 2 times 15, which is 30, 50 minus 30, which is 20, I could get a length of 15 and a width of 20. So again, going back to the drawing, so let's do the red one. So if our garage is here, and that's the roof, we're looking at it top down, you could have 30 by 10, depending on how big your garage is. And if your garage is a little bit wider, you could have, let me do this in blue so you know which numbers go with which house. The width be 20 and the length be 15. So this is why we solve these types of problems, to figure out widths and lengths of design with constraints, because everything is not unlimited. So if we're dealing with a certain size or whatever. Okay, so moving on to problem 2. The window of an apartment was 64 feet above the sidewalk. A pack of gum was dropped out of the window, blah, 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 blah. So using the physics equation from before, D equals 16t squared. That is a standard formula. If we see D is 64, so 64 equals 16t squared. So 16t squared minus 64 equals 0. We can see this as a difference of squares. So let's solve this on the next page. So 16t squared minus 64 equal to 0. So we take the square root of the first term and the square root of the second term. You get 4t minus square root of 64 is 8. So you get 4t plus 8, and you get 4t minus 8 equals 0. So 4t plus 8 equals 0. Subtract 8. 4t equals -8, dividing by 4, t equals -2. You cannot have -2 for time, so this solution does not work. 4t minus 8 equals 0, add 8. 4t equals 8, divided by 4, t equals 2 seconds. So if you drop something from 60 feet, it should take 2 seconds to hit the ground. So that is our lessons on verbally solving quadratic equations. You'll see these types of problems in science class, but it's good for the math and science to overlap so that you can see how to use formulas and equations to solve problems. So thank you for watching this video. If I went a little too fast in things, or I moved a little too quickly, please go back and watch some of the earlier videos in this series. That will give you some assistance. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to see you on the next video.